CBS News political contributor and, well, longtime face of Face the Nation. Bob Schieffer is here for me, the man who knows. Bob, I want to get to the history we saw there. It's really been 36 hours now or so in the offing. But first to the Donald Trump we saw last night. A lot of commentary, perhaps not unexpected, about his performance, reading from teleprompters, technology he has criticized Hillary Clinton for using. What did you make of what you saw?
Well, what I said last night, I said, Donald Trump meets the teleprompters and the teleprompters won. Yeah. And I mean, much to the relief of the party elders who were so worried about these inflammatory, this taunting, talking about this lawsuit that has been filed against him, things that had really nothing to do with getting himself elected, and more importantly to the party elders and the other elected officials, nothing to do with getting them reelected. Yeah. And so, they had really urged him to kind of tone it down last night, and when they did put this speech on the prompters, he read it. It was almost a little boy in Sunday school. I mean, he sat there and behaved himself. Mm-hmm. And whether that was good or bad for him, I think the Republican Party in general, I mean, at least the Washington establishment part of it, just breathed a giant sigh of relief. I mean, what they were wanting and hoping for was just that he would be quiet for a while, yeah, and kind of get past all this. And in a way, I think that happened.
But we did see the day unfold thus. House Speaker Paul Ryan repudiated his comments, said they were the textbook example of a racist comment, and spoke, to your point, to protecting the majorities in Congress. Mm-hmm. We saw a staunch surrogate of Donald Trump's, Senator Corker, suggest that the campaign has 2 to 3 weeks to work itself out, or perhaps all will be lost. We also saw the first official unendorsement, if you will, Senator Kirk in Illinois facing a tough fight there in a blue state for him.
That's now 4 senators who said they will not vote.
Who are getting off the Trump train, if you will. But then, after it was all said and done, I want to play this. Donald Trump sat down with Sean Hannity last night, and speaking to the controversy perhaps and the response of the day, had this to say.
Well, it's sad. I don't care where the judge comes from or where judges come from. I just want to get a fair shake. And we've had some very unfair opinions coming down, and you wonder what's going on. And I will tell you, it's a little disappointing. Some of the Republicans, and in all fairness, there's some of the people that I went through war with, and I won. And there's a lot of anxiety there. There's a lot of anger, I guess, anger. They just can't come back. They can't get over it. So they have to get over it, ideally. As to whether or not they endorse me, it's okay if they don't. But they have to get over it. They shouldn't be so angry for so long.
That suggests that he learned very little, perhaps.
But I mean, what does that have to do with anything involving the Republican Party or these other candidates and this coming election? This is something all about him. And yeah, maybe he doesn't like it. I mean, nobody likes it when they get involved in a lawsuit. But I mean, that's what these Republicans are they don't know what to do about this. I talked to a number of people yesterday on Capitol Hill who said, look, we don't know what it is that he's up to here, but we don't see that in any way, shape, or form this is helping us or helping him. And they just kept urging him all day, just pipe down. And I think the speech you saw last night on the teleprompter, as kind of awkward as it was, they all breathed a giant sigh of relief when that happened, just hoping this thing can kind of quiet itself down for a little bit.
A fascinating thing to think how low the bar was set, juxtaposed as it was last night, by the history that was officially acknowledged by Hillary Clinton. Well, I mean, the thing is,
he had come out with all this language after a lot of them had reluctantly and very tepidly endorsed him and said, yeah, we're going to support you and all of that. And then, he dumps this load of matter on, on all of them. And here they are. They're trying to, it's like they're walking a tightrope in the dark. They don't want to offend the Republican base on the one hand, but they all know this is simply not going to help them in the general election.
And a lot of,
you know, Paul Ryan, for example, he had this whole, and this means a lot to Paul Ryan. I've known him a lot. This you know, poverty program that he's put in place. I mean, there's a lot of it I don't agree with it, but I mean, he's very sincere about that. He had planned for a long time to have this news conference yesterday, and all he got asked about is Donald Trump a racist, you know, and so he had to say, yes, this is textbook racism, but can I just for a minute talk about this program I want to talk about? Well, of course he couldn't, because it just totally dominated the news, and in a funny kind of way, it totally, you know, took away the historic moment for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
This was, in the history of this nation, a historic moment. We nominated, the American people, or the Democratic Party, nominated a woman, the first time a major party has done that, to run as their presidential candidate.
What did you think of her appearance last night?
I thought it was probably the best speech that she has made in this campaign, and I thought it was brief, it was very well written, and it was well delivered. Sometimes she has a very difficult time when she's in these big crowds and she tries to scream above the crowd. Last night, her voice was well modulated. It was businesslike. It was firm. It was, you know, some people who really like her say it was very presidential. Whatever the case, I thought she presented herself last night about as well as she could. You know, good speeches, you can kind of put a bumper sticker. You can make a bumper sticker out of a good speech. And I thought the bumper sticker out of last night's speech was bridges, not walls.
Right, and it really spoke to it.
We'll hear that again.
GOP leadership was upset. One of the many things, I think, that bothered them about the controversy regarding the judge in the Trump University class action lawsuit is that there were all these low-hanging pieces of fruit that were not picked. The email controversy really got swallowed whole by it. The disappointing jobs report. That all was sort of let go, but we, meanwhile, on the other hand, again, saw last night echoes of the speech she delivered in San Diego last week. The sharp lines of attack now that she's drawing as we have our presumptive general election matchup.
But she didn't really engage in name calling. And I mean, you look back at the casualties of the Republican primary season, those who tried to engage in name calling with Donald Trump, they all went down. It didn't work. She didn't do that. She simply laid out what he has said and then said, here's why I don't agree with that, here's what's wrong with that, here's what I propose instead. You know, I mean, whoever becomes president, Josh, they're going to face problems probably as serious as problems any president has ever faced, with the exception of, you know, the wartime during World War II and all of that. I mean, just think about it. We've got a crumbling infrastructure in this country. We've got a very fragile economy that's being dragged down by this enormous debt. We have this public skepticism and deep division over almost every problem that we face domestically, and then overseas, the world is in turmoil. You know, we have our traditional allies are being questioned. We have the rise of China in the Pacific. We have this huge migration caused by the terrorist activity in Europe. These are enormous and very serious problems. I think we've wasted a lot of time during this primary season. I think it's kind of time maybe we got serious.
And it seemed perhaps last night, day one of a new chapter, if nothing else. Can't thank you enough.
Glad to be here.
As always, Bob.
Okay.
See you soon. The man never stops, after all. Bob Schieffer.